everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Throwback Thursday, and we're going to throw it back just a little bit with a video of Xana and some photos of Holly Springs and things that are happening there. And then we're going to throw it way back to when Hans Rueffert was first diagnosed with cancer. And we're going to share some of the miracles of life, because there are miracles all around us every single day. We see it every single day. And I told y'all about a week ago, we kind of talked about Ball Ground and all the things that are happening there. And then I said, we're going to talk about different towns. And yesterday I was in Woodstock. Let me tell you something. That town doesn't even resemble itself. Goodness, it has changed so much. It is so busy. It is so crazy, full of businesses, just vibrant businesses. Everybody's succeeding. Everybody's doing good, and we hope that they get to doing better and better and better. And today, some of my viewers have been sending messages and saying, I like Earl Thomas Conley, and I like Mel Street. He was really good. So later today, we're going to play that, but don't y'all dare tell him that you like his version better, because then he'll get the big head, and he'll never be able to wear his Mr. Ellijay hats again. So don't tell him you like his better. I don't know. You know, I like them all three. I wouldn't vote for one against the other, because it's a great, great song. And you know, when we think about that song, it was written by a man who sadly, just about a year or so after we interviewed him, he ended up with full-blown Alzheimer's. Think about the songs. Earl Thomas Conley had over 23 #1 songs. All of them were amazing. I listened to him coming up here this morning, and I thought, how does life work? How does he produce so much, be so successful, so great, and at the end of his life, he has full-blown dementia? That's a really tough thing to handle, and I've talked to so many people now who are dealing with that with a family member. And to all of you, we're going to be praying for you, because that is a tough road to go. That is a very, very tough road to go. Now, Mike's Ellijay restaurant will probably never be the same, because Xana is getting a little older and a little more, she's 2.5. Does that kind of explain things? She's a little more independent. And so when we went there for breakfast on Monday, Xana had to get up out of her chair and go say good morning to everybody in the restaurant, because her mommy tells her, good morning, beautiful, how are you today? And so she has to go tell people that. Excuse me. And it was so funny, because you couldn't tell her. She didn't mind us when we said, just sit in your chair and be good. No, she had to go be Miss Personality and visit with everybody in the restaurant. And she loved it. And she just, she might have gotten under a table or two and kind of, you know, she was being a mischievous little girl. But thank you for everybody who says that's the cutest kid in the world. I kind of agree with you. She is amazing, and she's smart, and she's sweet, and she is so loving. So we're going to show y'all some photos. Some of the photos we're going to show are also of a home that is in Holly Springs, Georgia. This is the oldest home in Holly Springs, and it is still standing and was just sold to another family. And this, we got to share this. This is Miss Hilda, and y'all love Miss Hilda, because she's given you tickets to lots of events over the many, many years that we've been doing television. She always brings us tickets, and we want to remind you, it is that time of year where there are concerts, there are cooking exhibits, there are barbecue and brew exhibits. There are all kinds of things that are going to be going on at the Georgia Mountain Fair. Now that, y'all, I just have to share this with y'all. See that guy with his back to me? That's the guy that I met when I was 14 years old. And if you're a 14-year-old kid and you love the Beach Boys and you're so enamored with them and their music, and oh my gosh, this is the Beach Boys and how fantastic, yada, yada, yada. Well, that's him now. And I was like, and he wasn't even very friendly. It was so weird. And I was like, you know, I met you at 14 and I just thought you were all that. Okay, I got over it. But it was so funny, because to see the Beach Boys now, the sound sounded like the Beach Boys, but it didn't look quite the same. And it's like First Day calls it, they do the Geritol gig, and that's kind of how I felt. But they were at the Georgia Mountain Fair. I would say it will probably be their last trip. I don't know if they're booked anymore, because it's hard to get them. They tour different areas. But But there he is, and that's all I would get was his back, because he said, no photos, no photos. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? But anyway, that is, they're still bringing some of the icons of music. Now, the ones that I want to see Little Anthony and the Imperials and Smokey Robinson. I want to see all of that. I think that would be really cool. I want to remind you, this is at the Botanical Garden in Ball Ground. The Saturday before Mother's Day is the big, huge plant sale there, and that is a sure sign of spring. That was the plant sale 2 years ago. And when we look at that little bitty baby's not a little bitty baby anymore. She's Xana Jordan, and she is getting into everything. Loves animals, loves people, and that somebody loves Ball Ground. Somebody loves Ball Ground. We all love Ball Ground. We want to invite y'all down to the plant sale. And again, it is the Saturday before Mother's Day. There will be vendors there. There will be thousands of plants to sell. And that right there is a sure sign of spring. And if you don't know spring is here, walk out there and look at my black Suburban, because today it's yellow. It is yellow. The pollen is back, and I can tell it because I can't breathe. But spring is in the air. It's a beautiful, beautiful time. And this, I wanted to share the Indian directional tree with y'all. The Heritage Park at Malone's Pond was built to preserve and to showcase that tree. And is that not a beautiful sight? And I'm so excited that we're getting to that phase. That's phase 2 of Malone's Pond, and it's going to be really, really neat to share the Indian history and to share, found a lot of beautiful plants that were original historical plants, so it's really, really neat. And it's exciting. Now this, this is the house in Holly Springs. When I went through Holly Springs yesterday, going to Woodstock, I was like, holy cow. It has changed drastically. The town is changing so much, but they have preserved their depot, and it is so beautiful. And this is part of the family who have lived in, visited, or been part of the generations that have known this house forever. And it just sold, and I'm so glad that it is still preserved, still there, still part of the community. And they named the street after it, and I think that's really, really cool, because when we look back, a lot of the historical homes are not making it. Either it happens to be sitting on a prime piece of commercial property, or there are no family members interested in it, or maybe it didn't get the repairs it needed over the years, and it just didn't hold up. But this house has held up well, and it reminds me so much of Harris Farm before it was ever added on to. And when I saw it, I just kind of said, wow, I'm in love with this house, because it looks like the original old Harris Farm, but it didn't have the pretty banisters that Harris Farm had, and they were really cool, but it did have that. And I love that. How many of y'all have ever drawn water from a well curb? That's like one of my favorite things in my whole life, to go out to Homer Martin's porch and drop that bucket and draw that water up, and oh my gosh, it was so good. It was so good. And where can you do that again today? I know a place. I know a place. It's a secret place. Shh, don't tell anybody. But look at that. There's the original part, and then an addition, and you just think about how many of those homes have survived. And with progress, often some things are leveled, and that house, I'm so glad to see that it's saved, and there it is. They've named it Jackson Street. So really, really cool, and it's right in Holly Springs, where all the growth, it's crazy. If you hadn't been to Holly Springs lately, they've got any and everything. Now today is Throwback Thursday. We are honoring a young man that you know. He started a career here in television at ETC many, many, many years ago. You have been a part of his battle with cancer. You have been a part of his success in that battle with cancer. And now he's at home, and he's still fighting. And we need y'all to keep praying for Hans, because he still has a long road to go. But he's here. He's a miracle. There are so many miracles in the world. And yesterday we saw a miracle, and we're going to share that with you. You know, I lived in Orlando when John Glenn went up in space. They lived right around the corner from us. And I can remember as a kid thinking, how could you possibly go to space? How do you do this? Whose brain is smart enough to do what you have to do to get there and then to get home? And as we've watched for almost 10 months, the 2 astronauts that were stuck in space. Now think about it. They were designed to go there for 8 days. And when I was listening to all the things that happen to your body when you're weightless that long, there are things that aren't good, from bone density to your eyesight, several things that are forever. And I thought about, if this man, I don't even know how old Elon is, maybe 50, I don't know, 48, I'm not sure how old he is. But if this man had not been born with this miracle brain, he can analyze, figure out anything. He has a miracle brain. I'd say his brain is those 1 in 100 or 200 years. He figured out how to get these people home that had no way home. They were stuck in space. And so we're going to share that. And when we think about this, to see that landing, I was sitting there in tears. And I was just, you know, because I remember when John Glenn first went up. I remember when the astronauts all died when they took off from the space station. I remember all the things that happened. And I think about, these are truly miracles that we are living to see. But to see this splashdown yesterday and to see these people taken out of that capsule, and when they were talking about the fact that as it entered the Earth's atmosphere, the temperature on the outside of that was 3,500 degrees. Had it imploded, had something bad tragically happened, they would have disintegrated. That would have been it. So we witnessed a miracle, and we have to give credit to the man who made the miracle happen. So Elon Musk, I'm in awe of your brain. I would love for people to analyze how in the world he just figures out so many things. And when he was in school, they thought he was autistic, they thought he was backward, they thought he was behind, because he was withdrawn a little bit, he was very quiet. And now we are seeing that kid sitting in your 4th grade classroom may end up being the next Elon Musk. We don't know what's out there today, but we know that there are some of God's miracles still happening. And we saw that when we saw this splashdown. It was amazing. So we're going to take you now to a short thing that was a miracle. Hans Rueffert was, he was doing television. He was in New York. He finished 3rd place in the Food Network. He was doing great. And then he didn't feel good. He just didn't feel good. And he came home and he started going to this doctor and that doctor and that doctor. And he found cancer, lots of cancer, lots of problems. But a miracle has happened because he's still here. He's still here. And we can still continue to pray for him. We can continue to say, okay, Lord, continue this miracle. Because I really believe that what has happened to Hans was a miracle. The doctors gave him 1% success of living. He's here. He's here. He is still battling, but I'll tell you what else he's doing. He's always thinking, working, and doing. He doesn't let any of this get him down. And that's something we all need to learn a lesson. We all need to learn that lesson. Don't let something get you down. Just, I took 10 days to get my act together after my daughter died, and then daily I worked at it. Daily. It was an everyday battle. But I finally worked it out. And it's hard. It is hard. But you don't give up. And I said, that's kind of what we want to share today. I want you to look at what Hans has been through, and I want you to think about, he could have given up. He could have just given up. But he didn't. His sister lost a battle with cancer when she was 28 years old. His mom would have had to bury 2 children had he given up. But he didn't give up, and he didn't give in, and God didn't give up on him either. So here we go.
The rockers on the front porch singing a familiar song. The tractor's in the barn, and the pastor's freshly mown. Looking through the screen door, the aroma draws you in to the heart of the home where old memories begin. The heart of the home keeps calling you in. kitchen, cooking with her friends, sharing recipes together, stories and songs, making new memories the heart of the home.
Welcome to Heart of the Home, away from home. We are certainly away from home, but we're actually in my new home, Fannin County. And we're joined by my friend Hans Rueffert, who happens to be a survivor.
Yeah.
A survivor in a point that, what happened to you in the last 90 days?
Well, last 90 days, I was basically told that I wouldn't be here today.
Right. And I've got on black today in honor of you, but I don't have my pantyhose on, so I'm not headed
So
to
you're
the
not
funeral.
mourning. Okay, good.
No,
That's good.
no.
It's good to know. But although there's always good food at a funeral, so we're gonna have good food.
We're going to have some good food today. We're at Town and Country Furniture in Fannin County, where this kitchen was designed around you, wasn't it?
It really was. Yeah, we've shot about 50 cooking shows actually right here. And they changed the countertop out,
Incredible
raised the hood
kitchen.
for me because I'm so tall. But yeah, this was sort of my home away from home kitchen. So.
Okay, let's give people a little bit of history. You were the Food Network, the third runner-up.
That's right, in 2005, and then 2 weeks later diagnosed with stomach cancer. Ended up losing, I didn't lose it, I know where it is, it's probably in a jar somewhere, but they removed half of my stomach and half of my esophagus, and I lost about 80 pounds in the process.
I found it.
Oh, you did? Okay, good. I'd like it back now, please.
Okay, you have it.
And then recently I was diagnosed with brain cancer, essentially, which, and they told me, that would be dead by now.
Right.
And luckily it turned out to not be cancer and turned out to be a rare infection. So we got all that under control, and so I'm standing next to you today.
You're standing next to me, and next to you stands a lady who has something to read about you. This is a resolution from the state of Georgia. Now, can you read the men's name who are responsible for this, Jen? Welcome, Jen Roberts. She is my assistant. She makes sure I'm in line, in control, on top of things at all times. And if you don't mind her, she will take you out of here.
Somebody needs to. So.
I try. Hans, I'm very pleased to be a courier today from the Georgia House of Representatives. And this is particularly from Representative Ralston of the 7th District and Representative Graves of the 12th District. So, young man, be it known, a resolution recognizing and commending Mr. Hans Rueffert and for other purposes. Whereas, growing up, Mr. Hans Rueffert lived with his family above their restaurant, the Woodbridge Inn in Jasper, Georgia, and whereas, fascinated with cooking as a child, Mr. Rueffert grew up watching culinary masters such as Julia Child, Jacques Pepin, Martin Yan, Graham Carr, and Justin Wilson, and whereas, after years of honing his cooking skills at the family's restaurant, Mr. Rueffert was invited to be a guest on a local cooking show, which led to his own show on ETC3 TV called In the Kitchen with Hans. And whereas in 2005, Mr. Rueffert was selected from over 10,000 applicants to appear on the Food Network's The Next Food Network Star. He placed third in a competition against 8 other chefs from around the country, vying for a spot in the Cooking Network's lineup. And whereas, shortly after his successful showing, Mr. Rueffert was diagnosed with stage 3 stomach cancer, resulting in the removal of half of his stomach and half of his esophagus. And whereas, thanks to the healing and skilled hands of the staff at MD Anderson Cancer Hospital in Texas, Mr. Rueffert remains cancer-free to this day. And whereas, besides hosting his own live audience show on ETC3 TV, Hans Cooks the World, which has earned him 3 Telly Awards, Mr. Rueffert has recently taped a show for Georgia Public Broadcasting, Hans Cooks the South, slated to air this year. And whereas, Mr. Rueffert is united in love and marriage to his supportive and caring wife Amy, and they have been blessed with 2 remarkable children, Finn and Ella. And whereas, in his first cookbook, Eat Like There's No Tomorrow, this gifted chef shares with audiences his love of food and portrays a truthful glimpse into his battle with cancer. And whereas, his appreciation and love of food are evident in all his projects, including his line of signature spice blends. And whereas, it is abundantly fitting and proper that Mr. Rueffert's gastronomical genius and devotion to uplifting the lives of others through food be appropriately recognized. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Georgia House of Representatives that the members of this body commend Mr. Hans Rueffert for his incredible career as a chef, writer, and culinary television star. Be it further resolved that the Clerk of the House of Representatives is authorized and directed to transmit an appropriate copy of this resolution to Mr. Hans Rueffert. This was read and adopted in the Georgia House of Representatives on March the 30th, 2009, certified and sealed by Robert E. Rivers, Jr., Clerk of the Georgia House of Representatives.
That's beautiful.
These don't come along every day.
No,
Thank
that
you
is
so much.
amazing. That is amazing.
Thank you.
And this little ribbon, it's called a pretty.
Not every resolution that they prepare has the Georgia seal and the ribbon on it, and they refer to this as a pretty copy. It is an unusual size. I made 4 stops last night looking.
Is that not the coolest thing? Is that not the coolest thing? Now, it has been years and years since then, and he's still here. And we're going to say he's not healthy, but he's getting there. We got to pray him healthy. So everybody, join me. Now, all right, I'm a biscuit maker, and I like gravy, and I like it right. If you own a restaurant and you use frozen biscuits, I just don't get that. I want to share, last night I put something on Facebook just to kind of see y'all's reactions, and I didn't even have time to look because, number one, I was charging my phone, had been dead all day. And so I forgot to check this morning, but how many people walk into a restaurant that specializes in good old country breakfast and gets a frozen biscuit? Who wants that? So we are honoring a very special lady today. Besides Hans Rueffert, Annie is a miracle. Number one, does Annie make the most amazing biscuits, and her crew and her girls can make these biscuits. This lady makes biscuits. She survived what nobody thought she would survive. She had COVID so bad that the staff at the hospital was allowing her to say goodbye to her family. We didn't think she would make it. Today is Miracle Day. Annie's back, she's fine. She still has breathing issues and will have for the rest of her life. But COVID almost took her down. She's the biscuit maker extraordinaire, and that's the kind of restaurant you want to walk into. I've got some special biscuit places up here I just love. Now, y'all all know we eat at Mike's, and I love the Chili Dog biscuits, and I love Eastside Grill's biscuits. I like homemade biscuits. I don't care how you homemade your biscuits, as long as you homemade biscuits. Don't feed me no frozen biscuit. And that just, if I'm, in a hurry and I wanted to do that, I would do one of those at home, but I'm not going to walk in. I went into a place in Cumming the other day, and it was just packed, standing full of people waiting to eat. And then they brought their food, and I looked, and I said, "Oh, my Lord, that's a frozen biscuit." And I asked the waitress, I said, "Who's your biscuit maker?" And she said, and I said, "You don't have one, do you?" She said, I said, "Pillsbury?" She said, Well, they make good frozen biscuits. But if you open a restaurant and you want to serve good food, get you a good biscuit maker. Annie's one of the best. And here's a little clip of Annie and Hans at Charlene's old house a long time ago.
Welcome back to Heart of the Home. We are away from my home, but we're in Charlene's home. And Annie,
Yes.
this has kind of seemed like home. How many weeks have we been here? 3?
3.
3, and it has kind of, we're getting a little comfortable with it. I think Charlene's nervous because I can find everything now. I found you at Annie's. I found Hans at work at ETC.
Yep.
And we decided you're going to teach us to make biscuits Annie's way.
Yes.
Now, I make good biscuits, but I don't think mine are as good as yours.
With
You
this,
have a
can-
trick.
yes. And you can make the same amount without wasting flour
Uh-huh.
and stuff, and make the amount you need.
Now, did you see the Food Network when Hans did his segment? He was not a good
I
biscuit
had
maker.
biscuit dough on all my fingers.
It
and
was
that
bad. It was bad.
It was a tragedy.
It was a tragedy. So we want you to teach Hans and I how to make Annie's famous biscuits. Can you do that?
Yes. You start with the flour.
And Annie, do we measure? Because I don't.
No. You don't measure, you just pour it in.
Okay, is that about half a bag?
About a half a bag.
Okay.
For about how many you think you're going to be
And we're
feeding.
using white lily flour.
And you take Crisco.
And that looks like 1 big scoop and maybe a half of a big scoop. Hans, give me the equivalent.
Yeah,
A cup?
I don't measure anything either, sure. I don't know what a cup
we
looks
don't
like.
measure.
I
And
can't even spell cup.
No.
Okay, and I need my white lily bag.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, and you want to flour the bottom,
Okay,
and you take and you mix it up
okay.
in the bowl.
And Annie, what's the best tool in cooking?
Your hands.
Your hands.
Yes.
Your
Did you hand
hands.
make all those biscuits in the restaurant over there? Good grief.
Yes.
Yep.
And Saturday mornings, it's hard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cars
How
out
many
there.
biscuits on Saturday morning do you make? Maybe 500?
Yes,
Wow.
pretty close.
So Hans, if she can teach us to do this, does that mean that she could call us on Saturday morning at 3:30?
Yeah.
And we'd have to go
Come to
help
work.
her?
Yes.
Oh no, Annie, that wasn't in this deal.
You start at 3:30?
Okay. Yes.
Wow.
She does.
Me and Bonnie, we get there between 3:30 and 4 and start. You mix the Crisco
Okay.
up in it until it sort of looks like cornmeal.
Right. Let's show that because I don't do it that way, and I think that's a good. Good
It's
hint.
already,
Yeah.
the shortening's already mixed.
Okay, good.
And then I take,
Now you use sweet milk
Sweet
and
milk
buttermilk.
and buttermilk.
Okay.
and just pour while you're mixing with your hands.
Okay. Okay.
That's what my hands look like.
Yeah, yeah. That's how mine looked. And see, my grandmother's hands were always nice and clean, and she just thought I was a dunce
And
because
you-
I could not do it the other way.
And I do half and half.
Okay, half
Half
buttermilk, half sweet milk.
Half sweet milk. You don't want it too?
And because we're here on a farm, is that farm fresh milk?
Yes.
Okay, right. Farm fresh from the local grocery store. I heard that cow mooing, but I think
Okay.
it was. I don't think it was a milk cow. I think it was a moo cow.
It was a bull.
Yeah, it was the bull running from us.
And you just mix it up. You don't want it real
You don't
thin,
over mix it,
and you don't want it too thick.
right? Now let's show the consistency of that. Okay. Now, look like maybe a cup and a half of Crisco to half a bag of the flour.
Put it on that.
Now you cut your biscuits.
No.
No, okay. I thought you did because
No.
they're always about the same exact size, aren't they? Let me
Yes,
have that and I'll get
okay.
rid of it for you.
You done with the milks?
Yes.
I'll get those out of the way.
Okay? We're good workers. I don't know how good we're going to be learners, but we're good workers.
Better eaters.
And you just take and knead it, and you don't want to, but just a little flour on the bottom.
Uh-huh. And you don't want to work it too much.
No. You just work it enough to get it a little
Okay.
ball shape. Then I pinch mine off.
You do pinch it. Okay.
Do like that?
Am I going to get to put my fingerprints on them?
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait. That's like my granny taught me.
Do they spread out quite a bit when you cook them? So you got to leave some room in there?
Yes.
That just looks so simple. But now 500 of these, Hans, what you think?
No, that would take me about a year.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Our family would starve to death. Of course, now I can make peach cobbler for 400. And who taught you to make peach cobbler, Annie?
Mama Sherry.
I did. I did.
I'm going to try one of these.
And who taught you to make spaghetti, Annie?
Mama Sherry.
I did.
I call her Mama Sherry.
Now, you're kind of
did.
kneading them in, it looks like. You're kind of pinching them
Yes,
in.
just
Uh-huh.
we'll move these up a little bit.
There
Yeah,
you
you better
go.
mark mine because mine's going to be as hard as a rock.
See, Hans, that's funny, but my first one was hard. It was honestly like a golf ball.
You overworked it?
It was like a golf ball. And then the next one was like a basketball. And neither one of them were fit to eat.
We need another pan.
Okay, now what are we going to do with these?
Okay.
How are we going to flatten these?
You just roll your hand in the
Okay.
flour
That's how Granny did
Oh,
it.
wow.
Okay, that's how Granny did it. How cool is that?
and just
And
flatten them down.
I love the idea that I had food that had my grandmother's fingerprints
Yeah,
in
that's
it.
neat.
And this don't take no time to do.
Well, you made 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 in what, 2 minutes or
Yes.
less? Okay. Now I'm going to stick these in the oven at 450. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do it at 450. And let me tell you something we have with it. I'm going to get you another pan. We have homemade pear preserves. Now, what do you think about homemade pear preserves?
Oh, they're good.
When they come out, when these biscuits come out, we probably won't wait for the tenderloin.
getting
We'll
good at
probably
this.
eat a pint of biscuits. I mean, a pint of preserves with these biscuits. Woo!
Pie biscuits, too.
How do biscuits too?
Look at that.
Look at that. Did Hans do that? I'm so
Yes.
proud of you.
We may have to
You
take-
know, I think the Food Network ought to reconsider.
That's right. We'll try it again.
Of course, we weren't crazy about their opinion either, so we all voted for you, and we said you will always be our Food Network star.
Well, thank you.
Now, how about that? Now, you going to mash those down?
Yes, did you want to?
No, because my hands are not dirty. How cool is that? So 15, 18, 21. We have got enough biscuits for 24 people. That is so cool in just about 3 minutes.
And you don't have a bowl full of
No.
flour to
See,
waste.
I've never done this. And I do always have a bowl of flour. Now I re-sift mine and use it again. But this is a better plan. Now, who taught you to do this?
My mother taught me to do this
And is your mom as good a cook as you are?
better.
Better. I find that hard to believe. Well, y'all hang around, because when we come back, you're going to find out just how good Annie's biscuits are. And you're going to find out, we have a family recipe for pear preserves, and one of my cousins made the best pear preserves, and we're going to try those with Annie's biscuits. So hang around, guys. We'll be right back.
Trace just reminded me of something. Mr. Pease has got mighty fine biscuits. And I've got me some muscadine jelly out here in my car. And when I leave here, I know of 3 little biscuit places within a mile radius where I could go get me a biscuit, get me another biscuit, and get me another biscuit. And that'd be breakfast, lunch, and supper. You can't beat that. These mountains are full of great biscuit makers. Get in the kitchen with somebody who can teach you to make biscuits. If you open a restaurant, please hire you a good biscuit maker. Don't use none of them frozen biscuits. Now, enough of that lecture. We're going to go now to a commercial, and then y'all get to hear your favorite version of Smoky Mountain Memories. We'll be right back.
Whether you're in the mood for chicken strips, a delicious burger, our classic banana split, or an upside-down thick blizzard treat, we've got you covered. Hot and fresh food every day, every time. And delicious DQ soft serve make the perfect pair at your favorite place. Not fast food, fan food fast. Your Blue Ridge, Ellijay, and Jasper Dairy Queens are your meet, eat, and treat headquarters.
Thank you for choosing DQ. How may I serve you?
Elmer loves to giggle. Elmer's mommy taught him that laughing can help when you have a big feeling, like when you feel happy. Make sure to celebrate when you're happy and laugh it out. Love your mind.
Welcome to our ETC Game of the Week from McDaniel. That one is poked out in the out.
Oh, that one hits him in the head.
From Crisp. That one. That one.
3-2. Good lick.
Y'all come by and see us anytime you can.
Whether you're swimming in the sea or splashing in the pool, making a masterpiece, or just making memories, writing a great American novel, or writing your term paper that's due tomorrow. Whatever you do in life, Farmers is here to protect it. For all your insurance needs, call Donald Curtis in Blue Ridge.
Smoky Mountain memories about my home in Tennessee. Memories keep calling me home. Mountains rising in my soul, higher than the dreams I've known. Misty-eyed they cling to me by Smoky Mountain memories. An old gray man with a dog asleep at his feet plays a worn-out fiddle full of melodies. He smiled with his eyes, but the lines on his face told me more than the tunes he played. Talking about my Smoky Mountain memories, pretty girl from Tennessee. I was such a fool to leave her all alone. I think about her in my dreams and wonder if she thinks of me. I'll always hold her close to me in my Smoky Mountain memories. So Mr. Play your fiddle, please. Play some mountain memories. I've been down a lonely road, so far from home. Nothing left to hold on to. I made some plans, but they fell through. Now there's nothing left for me but my Smoky Mountain memories. Smoky Mountain memories about my home in Tennessee. Memories keep calling me home. Mountains rising in my soul, higher than the dreams I've known. I can't get away from all my Smoky Mountain memories. Talking about my Smoky Mountain memories.
Lord have mercy, I wish I could see y'all sitting in your living room, tapping your foot, clapping your hands, and saying his version is mighty good of that song. That is one of the greatest songs, in my opinion, ever written, and it is perfect for these mountains that we love so much. Now, we also love a young man named Hans Rueffert, and we're going to go now to a really throwback program. When he came to my house to visit, and we talked about what we would have to do to help him through what he was dealing with. And we talk a lot about his cookbook. His cookbook is no longer available, but I hope and I pray that he lives to do not only another cookbook, but an autobiography, really, of where he's been, where he's going, and how he's gotten there, because he hasn't gotten there alone. Miracles were placed in his, just right there, and it happened every single time we turned around. We saw a miracle in Hans Rueffert, so here we go. And y'all don't forget, do not tell Dwight that he's your favorite on this song, or his head will get so big we'll never get him back in the studio. So, shh, don't say a word. Here we go.
The rockers on the front porch singing old familiar song. The tractor's in the barn and the pastor's freshly mown. Looking through the screen door, the aroma draws you in to the heart of the home where old memories begin. The heart of the home is calling you in. Sherry's in the kitchen, cooking with her friends, sharing recipes together, stories and songs, making new memories. The heart
Welcome to Heart of the Home. Oh, country living. It doesn't get any better than this. I'm back home. I love it. I love it. Spring is just around the corner, and I know that things will be blooming and things will be growing and herb gardens will be coming along. And I have a young man joining me today who is the master of herb gardening, Hans Rueffert. Welcome, Sunshine.
Thanks for having me again.
Now let's talk about the idea of you being the author of this fabulous cookbook. I love it.
Well, thank you.
We have waited and waited and waited. I had no idea how great it was going to be. It is fabulous.
I'm really proud of it. Thank you.
Now, your wife had a little bit to do with photography.
Yeah, she's just naturally gifted at that, and
she is great.
Yeah, there's a lot of good photography.
Now let's talk about. We said we're going to choose some local recipes, and I asked you about blueberry cornbread. Why in the world would you do blueberry cornbread?
Well, you've had like hoe cakes and griddle cakes with cornmeal, and you eat those with syrup and those kind of things too. So I love that combination of sweet corn with something else sweet, and I thought the acidity of the blueberries would be good. Maybe I overthink things sometimes, but but I just thought let's give it a go, and it came out really nice.
Well, it looks great. Now talk about ramps, because is spring ramp season?
Yeah, right around April is when you'll have ramps, especially in our area. In fact, for the book, we went up to I think it's on U.S. Highway 1 in Fannin County, way up, and there's a state park up there, and I got to ride a horse for the first time. Walked bow-legged for several days afterwards.
Oh, wow.
But we went way up in the mountains, and when you come across ramps, you actually smell them before you see them when they're ripe, and then before you know it, you're standing in a whole patch of these ramps. And a lot of folks in the mountain areas, they'll discard the greens and just eat the sort of bulbs. And if you don't know what ramps are, they're a wild garlic. They're sort of in the leek family.
And they are very strong.
Yeah, they're very pungent. But the greens you would love because they taste just like sort of garlicky spinach. I don't know how much you love spinach, and that's really what they really taste like garlic-kissed spinach. And so,
is it one time a year?
Yeah, that's the only time they come up. And people have tried to transplant them from those higher elevations to like your backyard, and they'll grow for one season, but they'll never come back.
Wow.
So they have to be in that high elevation, and they like the colder. In fact, when we went ramp hunting the last time, there was still snow on the ground when we were up there in the mountains. So.
Isn't that amazing? Now, is that something? Did Indians plant ramps? Where did they come from?
It's actually interesting. The city of Chicago is named after ramps. There was an Indian word called Chickagua, which meant the stinking place, which is Chicago. It probably still is the stinking place.
And for you folks in Chicago watching us, we did not mean anything offensive.
So they're growing in the north as well. But it was a part of their regular diet. And just like how garlic was believed to keep away evil spirits and vampires in early Appalachia, some of those first settlers used ramps in the same way. It was supposed to keep away the evil spirits.
Hans, I've smelled and tasted ramps. It will keep anything away.
But honestly, if you do them right, they're just like the best garlic or onion. They aren't offensive if you do them correctly. But you can, like when you start pickling ramps, then it can be a little woofy,
Right.
So. But I love them. I think that's kind of one of the little food adventures. I got to do a show for Georgia Public Broadcasting, which starts in April, and it's called Hans Cooks the South.
Do we have a date yet for the first show?
No, it's going to be on their Saturday morning lineup, but I'm not sure exactly the date yet. But one of the cool things was I got to really kind of do all these food adventures, and we started. We really kind of followed the story of Georgia agriculture, starting in the spring with asparagus and ramps and ending in the fall with pecans. So as things became ripe and ready, we went to the farm or to the orchard or in the mountains and discover those ingredients.
Well, this is a perfect example. Welcome to Georgia. I make world famous peach cobbler, and everybody loves my peach cobbler recipe. I've never seen a peach that looked as good as your photo. That is gorgeous.
And you've never smelled them like that either. When you go down to Fort Valley in Peach County, I mean that's what you smell, and you remember that from being a kid when peaches smelled like peaches.
Oh, man.
And we'll talk a little more later, but that's kind of what we talk about in the book too, about finding these local ingredients that are bred for flavor and taste, not bred to be shipped. And those ones you buy at most grocery stores are bred to not bruise and to ship well, and so they don't taste like anything.
Right.
So I'm a big proponent of eating local, and so there's a lot of that in the book as well.
Well, I was so impressed with it, and I just kind of sat and knowing you as I've known you since you were 4 years old.
Yep.
It is a part of your legacy, it's a part of your history, but it is the very best of what you do. And we all know that you aren't much of a dessert cook, but I found this awesome dessert recipe. I can do this in 30 seconds. It's Rocky Road.
And my kids love to do it.
It's so simple. So there are simple recipes. There are some pretty detailed recipes in here. But it all is from your heart. And I said, that's going to be the cool thing, because I've known you a long, long time. You started in the kitchen at the Woodbridge Inn, and when we come back, we're going to talk about that. Right now, we're going to go to some of my favorite music that started in Jasper, Georgia. I think we're going to feature Angel Spirit. These young ladies started here in Jasper, Georgia, and been here forever. Sit back and enjoy a great song by Angel Spirit.
Just a sinner saved by grace, I'm headed for a better place. That's all that I can claim in this world. When my race down here is run, and I face the setting sun, holy angels come and take me to my home. Holy angels, take me home. I've been waiting for so long to go and rest beside the river's flow. When I step inside the gate, I will see just what awaits. Holy angels, come and take me to my home. When I reach that golden strand, yonder in the promised land, all my loved ones will be waiting at the throne. Best of all, we'll see the King. How we'll shout and how we'll sing when we hear the Master say, you've made it home. Holy angels, take me home. I've been waiting for so long to go and rest beside the river's flow. When I step inside the gate, I will see just what awaits. Holy angels, come and take me to my home.
Wow, what great music. Now, Hans, those are local grown girls. You're a local grown boy. You came here when you were 4 years old. And we've talked about this in the past. We have a history because I worked at the Woodbridge Inn. When I left Atlanta and came to Jasper, not many job opportunities here. So I landed at the Woodbridge Inn. I was the baker. I made desserts, I made cornbread, I made biscuits before your mom and dad took over.
Right.
Actually, for the first owner. And through the years, I worked for several owners who were not successful. Your parents were very successful, but with that success came a little bit of failure as a family because there were no vacations, honey. You were always working.
We did take some good vacations, but I guess what my parents regret is they couldn't come to our basketball games or tennis matches, those kind of things. We work in the restaurant business when other people are on holiday, so of course we worked Thanksgiving or around Christmas as well. So then those were our busiest times too. So those were definitely stressful times growing up. So. But
from that experience, you learned enough to get yourself to the Food Network.
Yeah, I think I developed a hard work ethic as well. I mean, we always had to work, but I have to tell you, when I started in the kitchen, my dad was on dialysis. We thought he was going to die, and so I wanted to learn how to cook, not as a profession, but just because I wanted to learn it. I thought, we're going to lose this great resource, and so. He had his dialysis pole, and he was sitting there, and I was 18 years old. I'd never cooked an egg in my life, nothing. I'd never cooked anything. Cereal and milk was pretty much the extent of my culinary prowess. But after the first night of me in the kitchen, he told my mom, there's no way he's going to be able to do it. It was a disaster. He's got 2 left hands, 2 left feet. There's just no way he's going to be able to do it. But he would sit there and sort of just bark instructions with no clear path on why
I
we're doing
worked for your daddy. I know exactly how he barked instructions.
But once I kind of got the hang of it, whatever, I just ran with it. And I still am running with it because, as you know, you never stop learning. And that's the great thing about this as a profession or as a hobby or just somebody who enjoys food. As soon as you think you've got it kind of figured out, here comes they import a mango or whatever it is, just something new kind of comes into the equation, or a new technique of cooking. And for 2,000 years, we've been learning how to cook, and we're still learning how to cook. And so it's just, I love it.
One of my favorite things that you make ever is the carrot bisque.
I think it's in there.
It's in here. I was so impressed. But again, my favorite thing to make for dinner is reservations.
Well, you can make
the chef at the Woodbridge Inn now make your carrot bisque?
I don't know if he has or not, but we're gonna.
We need to teach
I'm gonna
him.
incorporate some of these recipes, I think, into the Woodbridge menu, because that was always my. I think I even mentioned that was sort of my always. My little old lady soup. Not that you're one of those.
Oh yes, I hear you.
but we would get sort of the after church crowd, and they would come in and ask you to have the carrot bisque, and all of them
a little bit sweet, a little bit tangy,
and that ginger gives it a little bit of a not heat, but it's just the spice.
Wonderful.
But every one of them always thought that I was making it just for them. So, but no, I think it's a really good one as well.
It is a great recipe. Now let's talk about the choices. I have some recipes that people sent me this week. Have you ever had broccoli cornbread?
No.
Well, I'm going to share this with you because I know you love broccoli.
Oh yeah, and cornbread.
And a lady sent this in to me from Alto, Georgia, and another lady sent me a baked sweet potato souffle crunch, Miss Edith Hensley. This is a recipe a lot like many people's sweet potato recipe, but a little bit different. And the same week, another lady sent me one. Recipes are only a beginning.
Sure.
And that's the thing. You start with ingredients you like. And if your family likes one thing more than another, switch it out a little bit. Don't get so set into this. You can't
People
do
get blinders on, and they feel like, and in fact, I start the book out with a little chapter on recipes, because I kind of compare it to driving, in that as long as you get to where you want to go, some people might send you on the highway, some people might send you on a scenic route, some people might say take a plane, but as long as you get there, it doesn't matter how you get there. And so I think people are they're too concerned about the journey, not about the the results. So actually, there's something that I'm going to make you read. My dad taught me something about ingredients that I think this right here.
Okay.
I'll make you read that on your show out loud.
Oh no! Now this is Christian Network Television.
Well, that's why I altered the quote.
You can't make chicken salad out of chicken poop. And knowing your daddy, he probably said something else.
Poop was not the word, but
no. But that's true.
But that is true. You can't use inferior ingredients and expect to get superior results.
Right.
So I think as long as you're starting with great things like fresh, stone ground cornmeal and blueberries, how can you mess that? You really can't mess it up. But if you're starting with half rotten something or whatever, you can't make it into something that it's not.
That's right.
So if you start with high quality ingredients, you'll always end up with high quality foods.
Well, you started the cover with one of my favorite things, a fresh tomato. And I told you today we're going to share a recipe with folks that I did several years ago. It is scalloped tomatoes. They're not even fresh tomatoes, but I use a good canned brand, and it was in the dead of winter. I told you this. I was having a dinner party. You know how you get everything done and you're in a panic, do I have enough food? So I ran to the cabinet and I grabbed several cans of tomatoes.
Yay. As y'all were watching that, I was checking out my cookbook, and I'm going to do a recipe in the near future that my cousin Marcel Ledbetter gave me, and it's on page 127. It's World's Most Delicious Cookies, and I can remember her making these. And I never even paid attention to the recipe, and today I was looking and I thought, oh, it has all my favorite ingredients. It has pecans, coconut, brown sugar, white sugar, egg, oatmeal, has all kinds of things. And I thought, this really sounds good, so I'm going to make this cookie, and then I'll bring some and show y'all how they turn out. But a recipe is truly only a beginning, and I was looking at this and I thought, well, I don't have any crushed cornflakes, but I have sugar frosted flakes, so I will drop the amount of sugar that she put in here, and then I'll use sugar frosted flakes. So makes sense to me. I want to share Xana with you because I want everybody to leave today smiling. And this is the child. This is God's miracle. This baby is absolutely a miracle, and I want you to see just a little bit of her as we visited Mike's restaurant. What have you and Mommy been doing?
I went to the park.
Did you go to the park?
Yeah.
Oh boy, you're going to go. It's cold outside. I hope you have a coat because it's very cold. It's cold. Do you like to eat at Mike's restaurant? We love to eat at Mike's. Come here. We love to eat at Mike's. Are you going to have eggs and grits? Do you want biscuit and gravy? What do you want? Yeah. I think I want a Western omelet. I think that would be good. Peppers and onions and cheese, and I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. We gotta get a straw. Get a straw. Wait a minute. We gotta get a straw. Just a minute. Just a minute. Santa, I think I want, what do I want to eat? Do you like grits? Do you like biscuit and gravy? Yeah. Eggs are good. Eggs are good for you. Where does the egg come from? Does the chicken make the egg? I'm here. I'm so excited that you're here.
Do you want
I'm so excited.
or sausage?
Do you want bacon? Yeah. Okay, bacon's good. Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Bacon's good. Okay.
Sausage is
All
not
right.
spicy.
You think she gets that animation? She is such a monkey. So sweet, so good, and what a blessing from God. You know, the path that we take in life is destined by what He chose for us. And sometimes we don't like the results. Sometimes we live with the results. Sometimes we can't handle the results. There are many ways to look at what did life deal you. If it gives you lemons, you make lemonade. If it throws a kink in there, you just kind of go around that kink. And I love what Han said about it. Doesn't matter what road you take. You can take the highway, you can take the back roads, you can do whatever works out in life. Yesterday I met a beautiful lady whose mom had gone to be with the Lord in August, and I think between lung cancer and Alzheimer's, her life ended. She was pretty young. And I think about that. You know, when we get to a certain point in life, how much more life are we going to have? How much more life do we want? What kind of quality of life are we going to have? We don't know, but He does. And I've been reading so much lately about some of the stupid things we do to ourselves. And one of the things that I'm trying to do now is drink water not in plastic bottles. So I'm driving myself crazy because I will go reach for a bottle and then I'll think, so I'll go to the faucet and I'll get it out of the faucet, or I'll get it out of a well, or I'll get it anywhere except in a plastic bottle, because I keep reading all these things. We know so many people with dementia now. There are reasons that that is happening. And so I'm so thankful that Robert Kennedy is going to come in there and try to help us learn and adjust and maybe eat better. When we look at our grandparents' life, these mountains grew what we ate. These wood stoves produced what was on the table. We lived longer, we were healthier, worked like dogs out in the field, always doing something, whether it was toting water, you know, wringing a chicken's neck, whatever, busy. Folks were busy. I think this little settlement where you just sit down and you do nothing is not really good for you. So I think that once Robert Kennedy gets us on a path, and I wish I hadn't read all this stuff about the bottle of water, because now I'm going, yuck. So just try to change one thing maybe every day. Kind of read something, educate yourself, and decide, okay, I'm not going to do that again, or okay, I'm not going to do that again. Maybe I'll do this a little differently. That's all we have to do, because God placed us here with all these amazing things. And to Elon Musk, we have to say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for what you did to get the astronauts home safely. What an amazing, amazing blessing. And that too, probably a miracle. So we can say, you know, every single day we look around and we see something and say, oh, that couldn't have happened without Him. Nothing could happen without Him. And don't forget that. I'm going to leave you now and head down to my favorite little town of Ball Ground, Georgia. But before I leave Ellijay, you can be guaranteed I'm going to go find me a biscuit to put some muscadine jelly on. And if you don't know how to make biscuits, this is my challenge to you. Get your granny to teach you. I'll see you again soon, only on ETC. But don't forget, we're going to YouTube too. So check out the YouTube channel. Lots of programs, lots of recipes, and lots of good times. I'll see you again soon.